Shabbat Shalom. Welcome, everybody. Hine Matov. Hine Matov. Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov. Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov. Hine Matov. Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Hine Matov. Umanayim Shevet Achim Gam Yachad. Repeat after me. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Shabbat Shalom and welcome to those of you who are here with us. We especially welcome our fourth grade, and to those of you who are watching us online, we welcome you too to our community and rejoice in your ability to celebrate together with us as we welcome Shabbat together. Just a reminder, we're still under regulations to wear our masks, so we are going to be just making sure you wear your mask. If you're not, we may just point you out and remind you to put it up over. It's not a chin strap, remember, it's a full mask. And we'll do it for just a little while longer, and pretty soon we'll be able to get together and not wear those masks when we're a community, but for just a little bit we protect each other. So that's part of what it is to be in community. It's to share our love of each other, to share our responsibilities to each other, and to celebrate these moments that are special for all of us this time of Shabbat. So we continue as I invite our teachers to come forward, our fourth grade teachers, if you would. And we are going to ask you to light the Shabbat candles, just like you brighten our kids' days with your wisdom and your patience and your love. You're going to brighten our Shabbat with these candles. Please rise as we light the candles.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehadlik ner shel Shabbat. Shabbat Shalom.
Shalom. If someone is near you who can give a Shabbat Shalom kiss to, would you do that? And then if you would, please be seated. We continue with Lecha Dodi, and you know the last verse, we're going to stand and we'll face the entrance to the sanctuary, which it's good, it happens to be on the east wall, so we also face Yerushalayim as we bow to the left and right and welcome Shabbat.
Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat mekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat mekavela. Shamor v'zachor b'dibur echad ishmi'anu el ha'meyuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad l'shemo tiferet v'lithilah. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat mekavela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala penei Shabbat mekavela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'necha ki hi mekor hameracha
דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם בשמחה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה בואי חלה
לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה.
When Jews greet each other, sometimes we say, Shalom Aleichem, may peace be upon you, and the response is, Alechem Shalom, may peace be upon you. So fourth graders, Shalom Aleichem, welcome. We want to invite you to come on up to the stairs of the back bima because you're going to be singing and leading us through parts of our service. But parents, you can all sit down. And I wanted to just get the fourth graders to come up. It's so good to see you all here. Yeah, you're going to sing after this song.
Page 24. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi
Elyon, Melech, Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Bochem Shalom, Malachi Shalom. Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Malachuni l'Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech Malachi HaMelachim, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Zichem l'Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi
I am a father of former fourth graders. They were fourth graders about 20 years ago or so. And I know what it is to see your fourth graders perform or being present in front of you when you want to take pictures, but I'm going to ask you not to. Just let them lead us in prayer and we'll participate with them and show them what it is to be part of a congregation, their congregation. So we continue with the Baruch Hu. Please rise.
Yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, lai, yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 yai, lai, 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 lai,
page 32.
So beautiful. Rabbi, isn't it amazing? I know that we're masked and I know we're not where we want to be, but it's just amazing to hear our children's voices, to hear babies crying, to see someone drumming in the front row here.
Absolutely.
Amazing.
So the Micha Mocha is on page 40. It is our song of freedom. It is our song of hope. We know, folks, that we live in a world where there is darkness, where there is still war, where people are still oppressed and repressed. And when we sing Micha Mocha, We aspire for a time when people will be free, when no one will longer oppress another person, and there will not know any war. Our people sang it in the story of the Torah when they crossed the Red Sea, and we sing it today even now with that same hope.
Thank you so much, fourth grade. We're going to invite you to sit down with your parents, and we're going to call you back up again a little later.
Absolutely.
We're on page 42 and 43 with Hashkivenu, and we're going to use the traditional Hebrew words on 42, but the English words are the interpretive ones that you'll find on page 43. Let there be love, Hashkivenu.
Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu. Hashkivenu Leshalom.
V'ha'amidenu shomreinu l'chaim ufros aleinu sukat shlomecha.
Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu.
Eloheinu
Hashkivenu Leshalom. Hashkivenu
and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms. Let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms.
One of our most important practices is Bikur Cholim, visiting the sick. And what our tradition tells us is we may not be doctors, we may not carry miracle cures, but to be able to hold a person's hand, to be able to wish them well, to be able to send them a card, or send, in this case for Wise Hearts, a lasagna or a soup, that it warms the heart and it helps to heal. And so when we sing the Misha Berach, we are sending our prayers and our hearts to those who are ill. If there are people who are close to you who are sick, by all means think of them, and when you see them again, let them know that you did think of them as we sang this prayer of healing.
Page 253. Misha Berach Avoteinu Mekor HaBracha Leimotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Sheberach imotenu mekor habracha leavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
Josh. There is a time in our service when we can just be with ourselves, with our thoughts, or perhaps with the words in the prayer book. It is the Amidah. We say it silently. We can read the words. The words begin, if you'd like to, on page 48. And you can read those words. They're ancient words that speak to our hearts. Or you can read the words on the left side that are more creative and reflective of the meanings of the prayers. I'd like to ask you to rise, and as we are doing our own personal prayers, fourth graders, if you would make your way once again up to the back bima, then you'll be able to sing your song of peace to us as we finish our own personal prayers. So adults, we can take a moment for our own prayers, and then we'll have the kids sing to us. Beautiful. Fourth graders, you can go back to your seats. You know, Mrs. Weiser, this is the first service since COVID all started, and you guys are the first ones to bring us back into the sanctuary. And I have to say, it is wonderful to see your eyes sparkling and hear your voices and be reminded that we're returning to some form of normal, which is just incredible. And I have to say, I've been doing this for a long time, and I am always proud of our kids when they stand up there. Whatever they do, it's just great to see them and hear them and their enthusiasm and their energy. It's all amazing. So I want to tell you a little Shabbat story, if I could. Rivka, it was Shabbat afternoon, it was Friday afternoon. Rivka was getting ready, cooking, preparing the meal. They weren't wealthy. She had just enough for the meal to serve for her and her new husband, Heskel, when she heard a knock at the door. And as was often the case, it would be a beggar who would come by on Shabbat afternoon looking for a coin. And so she reached into her pocket and she walked to the door and she opened it. And she was shocked because it wasn't a beggar. It was a soldier dressed in white. And now, when one of the Shah's soldiers visited the Jews, it wasn't always good for the Jews. So she was a little nervous. But he looked at her and he said, "Can I come in?" And she said, "Why, certainly." And in his arms, wrapped in cloth and towels and blankets, was a heavy object. She didn't quite know what it was, but he came in and he plunked it down on the table and he said, "I've come to ask a request of you." It's hard to turn down one of the Shah's soldiers. She said, What do you need? "Would you guard this for me?" "Well, sure, what is it?" "It's a samovar." "What's a samovar?" A samovar is, you may even have one at home. On the bottom, you boil the water. On the bottom, you have the fire, and then you boil the water, and on the top, there's the tea that you keep warm, and you take a little bit of your tea, and you put it in the glass, and you take the hot water from the samovar, and you make your tea. When she said, "Well, sure, how long?" And he said, as he was walking out the door, 7 years. 7 years? She thought, what? And she walked out to follow and said, "I can't," but he was gone when she looked out into the street. And so she walked back in and she said, "Oh, now I'm the proud owner of this thing." And she took the cover off and she looked at it. Now she expected to see a bright, shiny, beautiful samovar that she was going to guard for 7 years, but she saw instead a tarnished, dented, seemingly not even able to work samovar. And she looked at it and she took her apron and she rubbed it a bit and nothing happened. And as she was rubbing it, she heard a knock at the door. She went to open the door. She said, "Oh, it must be the soldier. He must be back." But no, this time it was a beggar. And so she reached into her hand and she put a coin into the beggar's hand. The beggar said, "Shabbat Shalom." She said, "Shabbat Shalom." She walked away and she looked back at the samovar. And had she looked carefully, she might have seen that there was just a little bit of the tarnish coming off. And so she wrapped up the samovar and she put it up on a shelf where she knew it would be safe. And as she was bustling around the house getting ready, she thought, "Mrs. Kaddushi, she lives down the street. You know, it's been a while since I visited her. Let me bring her one of my chalot. I have two. We can certainly spare one." And so she walked down the street. She knocked on Mrs. Kaddushi's door, and she gave her the challah. And Mrs. Kaddushi said, "Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Rivka." And she came back, and she hadn't been home for very long when her husband, Heskel, came in. He opened the door, walked in. He said, "I had the strangest day." She said, "I had the strangest day. Tell me about yours first." Heskel said, "Well, you know, I'm lucky if in a day I sell a glove or a pair or two. But today someone walked into my shop. He put on a glove and he said, 'What a beautiful glove.' Let me see the other." He put in the other. He said, "These are amazing. How much are they?" I said, 5 zuzim. That's my price. He said, "These are worth more than 5 zuzim. They're worth 10 zuzim. In fact, I'm going to pay you to make me 100 of them." Heskel couldn't believe his good fortune. If he moves that many gloves in a year, it's a miracle. And now he was going to do that many in 1 week. 1,000 zuzim, imagine it. And he told that to Rivka, and she said, "Well, my day was not quite as big, but it was also unusual." And she told about the Shah and the samovar on the shelf, and they got to eating and they forgot about the samovar. And as day followed day, some strange things happened. Heskel sold more and more and more gloves. And as he brought home more and more money, Rivka made food. Mountains of food, so much so that she distributed throughout the whole village. And she was known as the lady to go to on Shabbat Eve. If you wanted to have a meal for Shabbat, she always had plenty to give you. And she was so generous, and she would walk around and not just coins, but she would give money to beggars, and they helped to fund schools. They did all kinds of wonderful things. And they came to be known as some of the most generous people on their street. And before they knew it, 7 years had passed. And their lives were good. They had kids. They moved to a bigger house. And they continued to be generous. Now, not only did they make food on Shabbat, but Rivka opened a special kitchen so she could feed the hungry people during the week. And Heskel not only sold his gloves, but the extra gloves he made extra so that he'd give them to people who needed to keep warm during the winter. And their lives just got better and better and better. And then after the end of those 7 years, there was a knock on her door once again. Must be a beggar, she thought. It was Shabbat afternoon. That's when they came around. So she walked over. She opened the door. And there, standing right in front of her, was the soldier, dressed in his white uniform, just as when she first saw him. He hadn't aged a minute. He asked her politely, "Can I come in?" And she said, "Why, certainly." And he said, "Have you taken good care of my samovar?" And she said, "Well, we moved to the new house. I put it in the closet. Frankly, I haven't even looked at it. But we've taken good care of it. We protected it." He said, "Well, let's take a look at it." And so they went into the closet. They took it out, and they put it on the shelf. And Rivka said, "It's not really nice. It's kind of tarnished and dented and old." He said, "Well, let's take a look at it." And they took the blankets off of the samovar, and they uncovered it slowly, one blanket at a time, one towel at a time. And Rivka thought she caught a glimpse of something through the towels, and it was radiant and bright and shiny, and she couldn't imagine what was happening. And she looked around. Maybe the sun was shining through a window. Maybe that's what it was, but no. They took off the covers one after another, and there in front of her was the most beautiful samovar she'd ever seen. It wasn't tarnished and black and dented. It was silver and shiny and radiant and beautiful, and there was already a warm fire glowing underneath, and the tea was already atop of it, and she couldn't believe what was going on. And the soldier looked at her and he said, "I'm not a soldier. I carry this samovar with me and I give it to people. It's a lucky samovar. And if you take good care of it, you have all kinds of good fortune. But if you do good things for other people while you have good fortune, the samovar becomes shiny and beautiful. And clearly you and your husband Heskel have done nothing but wonderful things for the people around you. And you've become known, and I heard about you before I even came into town, that you were known as the most generous people in the entire village. This samovar is yours to keep. It will bring you luck, and as long as you do good things, it will always shine brightly." And with that, the soldier disappeared. And when they told the story to the Rebbe said, "I don't think that was a soldier. I think you might have been visited by Elijah, who visits good people and reminds them of their responsibilities to do good deeds in the world." And here's the truth about that samovar. It's just like our souls. You see, if we do good deeds in the world and do good for other people, our souls shine brightly into the world. If we're selfish and we keep to ourselves and we're mean-spirited, our souls become dark, just like that samovar. And so if you take away nothing else from this story, remember that our job, our responsibility is to let our souls shine brightly. You can see them in our eyes. You can see how our eyes sparkle when we look into the eyes of another. And we know that we've shined our souls just as Rivka and Heskel shined that samovar. Amen.
Thank you, Rabbi, and thank you, Maestro.
Maestro, you made it. Just thank you. Wow. Prayers. We say more prayers. Prayers are aspirational. Prayers are our words of hope, our messages of hope, or where we can be, where we want to be. And so a prayer for our country, that our leaders will always lead us with wisdom and guidance and do the right thing, and a prayer for Israel that will always be shining brightly in the world. Prayer for our country on page 258. I invite you to join me as I read. O guardian of life and liberty, may our nation always merit your protection. Teach us to give thanks for what we have by sharing it with those who are in need. Keep our eyes open to the wonders of creation and alert to the care of the earth. May we never be lazy in the work of peace. May we honor those who have died in defense of our ideals. Grant our leaders wisdom and forbearance. May they govern with justice and compassion. Help us all to appreciate one another and to respect the many ways that we may serve you. May our homes be safe from affliction and strife, and our country be sound in body and spirit. Amen.
Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Barechet Medinat Yisrael, Reshit Tzmichat Geulatenu.
Together, O Heavenly One, Protector and Redeemer of Israel, bless the state of Israel, which marks the dawning of hope for all who seek peace. Shield it beneath the wings of your love and spread over it the canopy of your peace. Send your light and truth to all who lead and advise, guiding them with your good counsel. Establish peace in the land and fullness of joy for all who dwell there, as we say. Amen.
Avinu Shabashamayim, Tzur Yisrael v'goalo, Amen, Selah, Amen, Selah.
Is anybody observing a birthday maybe this week? Not one birthday in the crowd? One. If you are, stand her up, because we're going to do it. These are Shehechianu moments, all those reasons that we celebrate. So we're going to do birthday. We're going to do now any anniversaries, any wedding anniversaries this week. I know it's kind of winter. People don't get married. If it were June, everybody would stand up. But, February, maybe it's California still. All right, what else we got? No. Let's see, anybody have a new grandchild in the past 10 years? Okay, all right. We're not, you have any ideas for some other stuff? Anybody happy that it's going to be warm next week? Yeah. No? I am. I'm freezing.
Yeah.
Yes. And that's coming, for sure. So, well, you know what? Here's the thing. Just being alive is cause for celebration. So we'd like to ask you to stand up and think about all those things you're grateful for. And as we were reminded, standing here in peace and security, even as we sing our kiddush and celebrate the good things in our own lives, we think of the people in Ukraine who are now, of course, experiencing the horrors of war. And we know that there are 300,000 Jews in Ukraine that the Jewish community in Israel and the United States are working to provide relief to, as well as all the other folks who are unfortunately suffering. And we wish that this all ends quickly and people can resume their normal lives once again. Kiddush.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'rotzovanu. Shabbat kodsho be'ava u'vratzon hinchilanu, zikaron le'maseh v'reishit, ki hu yom techilo le'mikra'e kodesh, zecher le'tzion mitzrayim, ki vanu v'charta ve'otanu kidashta mikol ha'amim b'shabbat kodshecha be'ahava u'beratzon inchaltanu. Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh haShabbat l'chaim, to life.
Page 282, the Aleinu.
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד ושמו
We gather to celebrate. We gather to strengthen. We gather to hope. We gather to aspire. We gather shoulder to shoulder to give ourselves the energy and the fortitude we need to face a challenging world. And we gather to comfort one another when we're in pain. And so the Kaddish is our prayer that we recite as our remembrance of those that have died. And we know that some of us have lost loved ones many years ago, but we still remember their memories, and we say the Kaddish on their behalf today. And others of us perhaps have fresher pain of loss inside of our hearts. And so being together to hear others recite the Kaddish is to bring comfort to one another. If you have lost a loved one in the past 30 days and you're reciting Kaddish for them, would you please rise? If you've lost a loved one in the past year and you're still in the first year of mourning, would you please rise? If you're observing the anniversary, the yahrzeit of the death of a loved one this week, would you please rise? And now, if it is your custom, we stand next to you in solidarity as you recite the Kaddish, and we join with you. Page 294. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah. V'amad yivrach utei v'yamlich malchutei v'chayechon v'yamechon v'chayei d'chol Beit Yisrael v'gala uvizman kari v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpar v'tramam v'yitnasei v'tadar v'talei v'talal shemei d'kudisha v'richu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechemata da'miran b'amah v'imru amen. Yehei Shlama Rabba Min Shemaya V'chaim Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. Oseh Shalom B'mramav Hu Ya'aseh Shalom Aleinu V'al Kol Yisrael V'imru Amen. May the one who creates harmony on high bring peace to us, to Israel and all the world, as we say, Amen.
Well, thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Cantor.
And thank you. Can we give it up for our fourth grade one more time?
Fourth graders.
And thank you so much to our fourth grade teachers, all of our incredible school admin who just make our school so magical and are bringing us back into this next chapter of normalcy. And thank you to Maestro Kate and our incredible, incomparable band, and our intern Josh Goldberg, and our crew who just made this evening possible, and to all of you for showing up. And it just means so much to see the room full and to sing with you.
One more thing, just a reminder.
Yes.
If you noticed Andre here getting some amazing shots of your kids, it is online. You can go to the Wise LA site and actually watch the service again because you just can't get enough, right? And watch your kids. So you'll see the beauty of his artwork.
Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. 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 Repeat after me. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. How good it is.
How good it is.
How sweet it is.
How sweet it is.
To be together on this day. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim shevet achim gam peaceful, healthy Shabbat.